Shedeur Sanders walked into a dysfunctional setup, and Jeudy wasn't going to let that slide. While headlines tried to paint Sanders as mad or unprepared, Jeudy turned the heat on the Browns' front office instead. He challenged the media directly, accusing them of missing the real story. A talented rookie set up to fail by an organization that didn't give him the tools to grow. From day one, Sanders was kept on the fringe, limited reps, no rhythm, no consistency. And now, the spotlight's on him?
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
Jeudy called out that hypocrisy without flinching. This is more than a single outburst. It's a flashpoint in a fractured team environment. Jeudy's fury wasn't spontaneous. It was the voice of a veteran who's seen too many careers mishandled and who knows talent when he sees it. Sanders may not be polished, but he's not the problem. The real issue is a team culture that prioritizes excuses over development. Until that changes, moments like these won't be rare, they'll be routine. Jeudy didn't just snap at a reporter. He detonated a ticking time bomb that had been buried under weeks, maybe months, of internal dysfunction inside the Cleveland Browns. When that mic was on, and a reporter tried to twist the situation into a narrative that Jeudy was somehow upset with rookie quarterback Shedeur Sanders, Jeudy didn't hold back. What came next was a brutally honest, emotionally charged media session that stripped the gloss off the Browns' quarterback situation and exposed a deeper issue. This organization has absolutely failed to prepare Sanders for success. And Jeudy? He wasn't going to let that slide. You could feel the frustration boiling over. Not just about a couple of missed passes or a rough game. This wasn't about stats. This was about how a team can spend a high pick on a rookie quarterback, talk all offseason about his potential, and then, when it's time to actually develop him, leave him out to dry. No structure, no consistent reps, no real effort to build the rhythm and chemistry that make or break a quarterback's early career. So when the media tried to frame it like Jeudy had an issue with Sanders, that was the last straw. Jeudy didn't let them finish the narrative. He cut it off at the knees and told the truth. The only thing he's frustrated with is the Cleveland Browns' leadership and their complete failure to support their young quarterback. That kind of honesty is rare in pro sports. Most players stay quiet. They say it's not their place, or they keep the focus on themselves. But Jeudy stepped up and did what few are willing to do. He called out the organization for creating the problem and then trying to shift the blame. And he was right. Because Sanders hasn't just been underperforming, he's been underprepared. The Browns have done little to give him the tools he needs to succeed. How is a quarterback supposed to lead a team when he's barely gotten first-team reps? How is he supposed to develop chemistry with his receivers when he's stuck on the sidelines? You can't expect results without investment. And Cleveland hasn't invested in Sanders, not where. What Jeudy made painfully clear is that the coaching staff and front office are not aligned. There's no unified vision. And without that, players like Sanders are set up to fail before they even step on the field. This wasn't just about one player's frustration. It was a veteran taking a stand for a rookie who's being quietly sabotaged by the system. Jeudy knows the league. He knows how this works. He's seen rookies get written off too quickly because no one gave them the time or attention to develop. And he's not about to let that happen again, not to Sanders. So when Jeudy went off, it wasn't disrespect. It was advocacy. And now everyone's talking. Fans are divided. Some are questioning whether Jeudy should have aired the team's dirty laundry in public. Others are saying this is exactly what needed to happen, a wake-up call for a front office that keeps dodging accountability. And honestly, the debate isn't even the point. The fact that this blew up at all is proof of just how fragile things are inside that building. This isn't new for Cleveland. The team has cycled through quarterbacks, offensive schemes, and coaches more times than anyone can count. And every time, they tell fans this is the year. This is the system. This is the plan. But when it comes time to actually back that up, they fall apart. Jeudy didn't fall for it. He's seen the pattern, and he's calling it out in real time. And whether people like his delivery or not, the message is dead on. The Browns are failing their young players by refusing to build a stable, supportive environment for them to grow. That's why this moment matters. Because Shedeur Sanders is not a lost cause. He's not some overhyped rookie with no upside. He's a talented quarterback who's been thrown into a pressure cooker with no protection, no chemistry, and no reps. And now he's being judged for not delivering miracles? Come on. Jeudy's defense of Sanders was more than just emotional. It was calculated. He laid out exactly what's wrong with the setup. No reps, no preparation, no plan. He knows that real chemistry between a receiver and quarterback takes time. Representatives trust. And Sanders hasn't gotten any of that. He's being asked to perform without a foundation. And it's not just Jeudy who sees it. Inside the locker room, players talk. They know who's putting in work. They know who's being overlooked. And when a veteran like Jeudy puts his name on a public critique of the organization, it means this frustration isn't just personal. It's shared. That's a problem for Cleveland. Because once the locker room starts to fracture, once players stop believing that leadership has their best interests in mind, it's almost impossible to recover. Morale dips. Performance tanks. And worse, you lose the veterans who are supposed to be your culture builders. Jeudy going off isn't just about Sanders. It's about trust being broken. And now, the Browns are on the clock. Because this isn't just a PR headache, it's a credibility crisis. If Shedeur Sanders steps up in the next game and shows even a glimpse of what he can do with proper support, if he throws clean passes, moves confidently in the pocket, or even just looks prepared, it's over for the current narrative. All the excuses about him not being ready will collapse, and the spotlight will swing right back to the coaching staff and front office. Why didn't they prepare him sooner? Why didn't they give him the reps? Why did it take this kind of blow-up for anyone to notice what was really going on? And if Sanders doesn't play well, that's not a win for management either. Because now the world knows he was set up to fail. Jeudy made sure of that. The narrative has changed. It's not about whether Sanders is ready. It's about how badly Cleveland mishandled his development. The Browns have a chance, maybe their last real one this season, to reset the tone. To give Sanders the resources he needs, trust in his ability, and stop scapegoating the players for problems rooted in leadership. The team's long-term success depends on it. But none of that matters if they don't listen. If they dismiss Jeudy's words as just frustration or ego, they're missing the point. This wasn't about a bad game. This was about a broken system. One that needs to be fixed now, before more careers are wasted in the churn. Jeudy didn't go off because he lost his temper. He went off because he saw a rookie being set up to take the fall. And he wasn't going to stay quiet while it happened. And honestly, good. This league needs more of that. More players who aren't afraid to call it like it is. More veterans willing to speak up for their teammates. Because if the organization won't protect its young talent, someone has to. So now all eyes are on Cleveland, on Sanders, on this next game. Because whatever happens next is going to tell us everything. If Sanders delivers, Jeudy becomes the guy who saw the truth before anyone else. If he struggles, it only proves how deep the problems go. Either way, the conversation has changed. And it's not going back. Let us know your thoughts. Was Jeudy out of line, or just brutally honest? Do you think the Browns will actually change how they develop talent, or will this be just another controversy they sweep under the rug? Drop a comment, hit that like button, and make sure you're subscribed, because this story, it's just getting started. And now, the stakes couldn't be higher. What Jeudy ignited wasn't just a media scandal. It's a full-on culture check for the Cleveland Browns. His comments cracked the surface, but what's bubbling underneath? That's the part that's really dangerous for the franchise. Because once players stop buying into the system, it's not just locker room vibes that fall apart. It's the entire foundation. Jeudy's blow-up wasn't just loud. It was loud enough to reflect what a lot of guys have probably been thinking, but were too cautious or too smart to say out loud. Think about what that says. It means Jeudy felt cornered. Like the media wasn't just asking dumb questions. They were actively twisting the truth, turning the spotlight in the wrong direction. making Shedeur Sanders the scapegoat when the real blame lies in the way Cleveland has handled him since day one. And Jeudy? He wasn't going to let that narrative win. Because once a rookie quarterback gets labeled as immature, not ready, or God forbid, a bust, that stigma sticks. The league moves fast, and reputations solidify even faster. All it takes is one bad press cycle to derail an entire season, or a career. Jeudy saw it happening in real time and decided, right then and there, to take a wrecking ball to it. He reminded the world of something the Browns clearly forgot. Young quarterbacks need development, not judgment. The fact that we're even having this conversation is already a red flag for Cleveland. They drafted Shedeur Sanders. They knew what they were getting, a talented, high-potential quarterback with pedigree and poise. But they also knew he needed reps, not just to learn the offense, but to build that irreplaceable muscle memory connection with his receivers. Jeudy knows that because he's been through it. He's played with multiple quarterbacks. He knows what it feels like when the timing is off, not because the quarterback doesn't care, but because the quarterback hasn't been allowed to develop that trust, those instincts. It's not personal, it's structural. And the structure in Cleveland? It's a house of cards. What Jeudy did was pull out the bottom card. And now we're all watching to see how it collapses, or if they can rebuild something out of the wreckage. Here's the key thing that a lot of the media missed. Jeudy wasn't ranting about stats. He didn't care about one bad throw or a misread route. He was speaking about a systematic failure. And what makes it worse is that the Browns, once again, seem totally unprepared for the fallout. Instead of coming forward with accountability, we got silence. No public backing for Sanders. No statement supporting Jeudy. Just awkward quiet. The kind that makes players feel like they're on an island. The kind that makes fans start asking whether anyone in the building is really leading. That silence? It's louder than Jeudy's entire outburst. Because the Browns could have gotten ahead of this. They could have acknowledged the mistake, said Sanders is young and still learning, that they're working to get him more involved. They could have owned it. But instead, they did what bad organizations always do. They tried to wait it out. That might work for some locker room drama. But this is different. Because Sanders has support now. Jeudy went public. That's not something you walk back. That's a shot across the bow. And unless Cleveland makes a visible shift, actually gives Sanders the reps, tailors the offense to his strengths, commits to him, this whole thing will spiral. And here's where it gets really tense. The next game isn't just about performance. It's a referendum on everything Jeudy said. If Shedeur Sanders comes out and plays sharp, even if it's not perfect, people are going to start asking the obvious question. Why wasn't he starting earlier? Why wasn't he given a real QB1 trajectory from the moment camp started? Why did it take a public explosion from a veteran receiver to get the team to take its own draft pick seriously? If he plays well, the entire organization will be forced to reckon with how badly they mismanaged the situation. The optics are brutal. The damage is already done. But a solid performance from Sanders will light a fire that can't be ignored any longer. And if he struggles, it won't mean Jeudy was wrong. It'll mean Jeudy was right, just a little too late. Because you can't undo months of neglect in a week. You can't fake reps. You can't manufacture trust between a quarterback and his receivers in a couple of practices. That takes time. Time Sanders should have been given from day one. So even if he falters, it only strengthens Jeudy's point. He was never given a fair chance. That's what makes this such a no-win situation for Cleveland unless they act now. They have to stop the bleeding. Show that they're listening. Back their rookie quarterback publicly. Give him the reps. Let him develop, even if there are growing pains. Because at this point, the alternative is far worse. The alternative is losing the locker room. Because if veterans see that speaking up gets them ignored, if young players see that struggling gets them discarded, then what's left? A team going through the motions. No chemistry. No unity. No hope. Jeudy's outburst wasn't a moment of chaos. It was clarity. It cut through all the excuses, the media fluff, the endless speculation. It said, this is what's actually wrong here. And I'm not going to let you pin it on the kid. That matters. Because Sanders is more than just a prospect. He's symbolic of how teams treat their future. And right now, Cleveland's handling of that future is looking pretty bleak. But this is the pivot point. The moment where the Browns can prove they've learned something, or that they haven't changed at all. There's still time to right the ship, not just for Sanders, but for the entire locker room dynamic. Support your rookies. Back your veterans. Stop spinning narratives and start building something real. Jeudy gave them a window. It's up to them to step through it. And if they don't, well, let's just say this won't be the last explosive moment to come out of Cleveland this season. The storm in Cleveland isn't just a media headline. It's a full-on identity crisis. And Jeudy? He's the one who kicked the doors open and made sure nobody could ignore it anymore. Think about the weight of what just happened. A veteran wide receiver in the middle of a spiraling season went off in front of cameras, not to protect himself, but to defend a rookie quarterback who's been publicly dragged underdeveloped and tossed into chaos without any of the tools he needs to succeed. That doesn't happen in healthy organizations. Jeudy didn't sugarcoat anything. He didn't dance around the issue. He came out swinging, not at Shedeur Sanders, but at the machine that's been silently grinding this rookie down behind the scenes. He made it clear, this isn't a chemistry issue or a talent problem or a he's not ready yet situation. It's a direct result of Cleveland's failure to do the bare minimum in preparing a first-year quarterback to compete in the NFL. And what's truly jarring is how obvious it is now that someone finally said it. Sanders didn't come into the league with some massive ego or off-field distractions. He came in with a high ceiling, strong work ethic, and everything you'd want to mold a young quarterback. But where's the development? Where's the structure? Where's the actual plan? Jeudy, essentially, said what a lot of players have probably been whispering behind closed doors. There is no plan. Because if there was, Sanders would have been getting meaningful reps with the first team. If there was, he'd have had a chance to build chemistry before being asked to execute under live pressure. Instead, he got scraps. Throw him in cold, see what happens. And when it doesn't click right away, let the media chew him up. That's what set Jeudy off. The absolute audacity of watching the media point fingers at Sanders, like he's the problem, while the organization just sits back and lets it happen. And let's be clear, this isn't about shielding a rookie from criticism. It's about being fair. If Sanders was getting a real chance and still struggling, fine. Then we can talk about execution. But that's not what's happening here. What's happening is classic deflection, pushing the blame onto a kid who hasn't even been given a fair shot to find his rhythm. And Jeudy wasn't going to let him become another name in the long list of quarterbacks chewed up and spit out by dysfunctional teams. What's crazy is how fast this blew up. Jeudy didn't rant for 20 minutes. He didn't sit down and give a tell-all. He just snapped, because sometimes the truth isn't polished. Sometimes it hits like a gut punch. And when you're watching a talented player like Sanders get thrown to the wolves, eventually someone has to say enough. That someone was Jeudy. And now, the dominoes are falling. Because no matter how the Browns try to frame it, there's no walking this back. The fans are talking. The locker room is buzzing. The media's playing catch-up, scrambling to reframe the story they clearly misunderstood at first. And all of it traces back to a single point. Cleveland has not set Shedeur Sanders up to succeed. Let's not forget, this is a franchise that's desperate for stability at quarterback. They've been chasing it for years. Drafting, trading, rotating through starters, never quite getting it right. And now, when they actually have a guy with potential, they're squandering it all over again. That's why Jeudy's outburst hit so hard. Because it wasn't just one player venting. It was a veteran pleading for the team to not repeat the same tired mistakes. To stop blaming the wrong people. To actually invest in their future, rather than using it as a scapegoat when things go wrong. And here's the part that makes this whole situation even messier. Shedeur hasn't even hit his ceiling. Not even close. Jeudy sees that. You can hear it in his voice. He knows. Sanders has it in him. The poise. The IQ. The arm talent. But none of that matters if the system around him is broken. Because quarterbacks don't grow in a vacuum. They grow through reps, through trust, through time. through a coaching staff that builds a game plan around their strengths instead of setting them up to fail and then wondering what went wrong. And when you look at Sanders' situation, it's like watching a movie you've seen 100 times. You know exactly how it ends. The team doesn't support the rookie. He struggles in limited opportunities, gets labeled as not ready, and before you know it, he's benched, traded, or forgotten. Jeudy saw the ending coming, and he refused to sit through it again. So where does that leave Cleveland? In a very uncomfortable spotlight. Because if the Browns continue to mishandle Sanders, if they double down on their mistakes and keep feeding the narrative that he's the issue, they risk losing more than just games. They risk losing their credibility with fans, with players, and with the future talent they're supposed to be developing. That's what this moment is really about. Accountability. Not just for Shedeur, but for the organization that's been dragging its feet while pretending everything is fine. It's not fine. The leadership looks fractured. The player development strategy is either non-existent or wildly inconsistent. And now they've got a veteran starter publicly calling them out for it. That doesn't happen unless there's a real problem. And if they don't respond publicly, decisively, this isn't going away. Because guess what? The next game is right around the corner. And when Shedeur Sanders steps onto that field, every pass, every read, every decision will be viewed through a completely new lens. Not one of judgment, but of context. Because now we all know the truth. This kid wasn't given the tools. He was thrown into a mess and expected to perform miracles. And if he does manage to pull off a strong performance in spite of it all, that's not a comeback story. That's an indictment. It'll prove Jeudy right. It'll make the front office look short-sighted. And it'll raise real questions about what this team is even trying to build. But if Sanders stumbles, that's on them too. Because you can't spend weeks neglecting a rookie quarterback, then act surprised when he doesn't immediately shine. He wasn't set up to succeed, and everyone knows it now. So this next chapter, it's not just about Shedeur. It's about whether the Browns have the self-awareness to learn from their mistakes, or whether they're going to keep marching down the same path of denial and damage control. Jeudy didn't cause this mess. He just said out loud what everyone else was thinking. And now the clock's ticking. Let us know your thoughts. Was Jeudy just stating facts? Should the Browns be panicking or finally facing the music? Hit the comments, like the video, and subscribe for more breakdowns of NFL chaos you won't get from the press conference feed. Because this isn't just a one-week story. This is a reckoning in real time. And you're going to want to see how it ends.